A question that I ask myself pretty often is how good would I be in a real car? And other people ask me that too. My aunts, my uncles, my grandparents. And then they usually follow up with something like, have you ever been on track? But something I have never heard before 2 months ago was, do you want to find out? Kaizen Autosport reached out to me out of the blue, asked me basically that exact question, and of course I said yes. There's no other option. I'm pretty sure you would have said the same, whoever you are watching. And I realized that I am extremely lucky to be the person experiencing this, but I also realized that answering that question is just the very, very, very beginning. I feel like that needs some explanation. Kaizen Autosport is a team based at VIR, Virginia International Raceway. They run a flock of Ginettas, track car rentals, arrive and drive programs, the premier school in the US, including track walks, the classroom, skid pad, the whole 9 yards with mock races. And they have a fucking Lamborghini Super Trofeo that they run all over the United States. This is the full 9 yards race team. And they invited me for 2 days around VIR PATRIOT course in the BMW M240 IR in this beautiful livery. Oh, that's a good livery. It's a good livery. If you saw the video last week, awesome. If not, I'll put it up there. You should probably watch that one first. It doesn't make a huge difference, but that was totally based on iRacing. This week is all Assetto Corsa. And before this week, I had literally driven Assetto Corsa probably a total of like 35 minutes. So I have no idea how this sim actually behaves or what I should really be expecting from this. But I've heard that in a lot of ways it's more realistic to real life. And I'm not gonna lie, I struggled quite a lot. And I also overthought a lot. I was overthinking a lot. I guess overthought a lot, overthinking a lot. I got lost quite a few times. I think I might have over-prepped, under-prepped, prepped the wrong way. I don't know. Oh, also, if you like the shirt I'm wearing, look at that. It's on sale right now. Link in the description. Thank you, Kaizen. Thank you, SIMAGIC. Thank you. There's a cricket somewhere back there, like in my sim rig or behind my sim rig, and I don't know if you can hear it, but this is my weakness, dude. I swear to God, this is my weakness. Like, I'm gonna get my day started with a run, and then we'll be back and get to work. There's a million different things to focus on, but one thing at a time, one thing at a time. I just finished my run. We did 5 kilometers at 7.5 miles an hour, so it was about 26 minutes. Felt super good. Honestly, felt pretty easy today. I know it's not gonna be like that every day, but I'm gonna work my way up to 6 miles from now. So next run will be 4 miles, then 5, then 6, and I wanna do 6 3 or 4 times. I said in the first video that I didn't want to over practice, and somebody in the comments mentioned and kind of clarified what I really was trying to get at there, which I'll put their comment right here. It is the fact that it's not so much over practicing, but more practicing the wrong thing, which very easily happens when you don't really know what you're doing. Like if I'm learning a track, I don't want to be doing 50, 60 laps at a time, which is what I used to do. Because when I do that, I tend to start doing the wrong thing over and over again because number one, I'm probably getting tired. Number two, I don't know what I'm doing to begin with. So I think it's more important that I actually flesh out how to, drive most optimally on that track. To put that into practice right now, we are going to be driving the BMW M4 GT4 Evo, so same car as last week, on Brands Hatch, because that is the official race this week. So it will allow me to compete against other people and see how I stack up. And you might say, what does this have to do with VIR? That is not the car or the track that I will be driving for the racing school, but that's not really what I want to focus on so much, honestly. I feel like I know the PATRIOT course okay. What I want to work on from now is getting up to pace, getting as good as I can at finding my ceiling with as little time as possible. The race school is only 2 days, and I'm not expecting to be super competitive. Like, I don't think there's really that much of a competitive aspect to racing school, but just in general for racing, because I do plan on doing more real life racing in the future, hopefully afterwards, I want to get really good at figuring things out quickly. So learning a new track like this and trying to be efficient at it could create good habits that in the future help me be efficient at learning in the real car. That's my goal. That's what we're doing, and I will update you once I find some pace. It's the next day. Sorry, I went MIA for like half a day. I started editing after I did all that Brands Hatch that I was talking about, and I want to briefly talk about how that went. These are the results from Brands Hatch. And I basically looked over and looked at the fastest lap for a bunch of different races, 29.7, 29.3, 29.9, 29.6. And that's kind of how I decided like what kind of pace I should be looking for. And I settled, you know, around mid 29s is probably what I would want to get to. To try and find that pace, I did something different than I usually do, but actually very similar to what I did last week to find pace on the PATRIOT course, which is 5 sessions of maximum like 14 laps, like 20-minute sessions each, with about an hour in between to kind of think about what I was doing and what I did wrong, what I did correctly, as well as looking over the laps themselves. And if you want to see this in more detail, I will post an entire video. It should actually be up right now. I'll put a link to it up here. But yeah, basically I did 5 different sessions. My first session, 14 laps, fastest time was a 1:30.1. The second session I did 10 laps and my fastest was a 1:29.78, so I found time. Third session, I did 13 laps and similar time, 1:29.753. So I didn't find time exactly, but I kind of understood better what I was doing and I was much more consistently in the 29s. Next session, I did a 1:29.633 as my fastest in 10 laps, which was an improvement a little bit. And then by the final practice session, I did a 1:29.226 within 8 laps. I was much faster, much consistent there. And I think this speaks largely to me that I'm making improvements in training in this way, like basically minimizing my time on track, being as efficient as I possibly can with my time on track, and making sure also not to wreck, damage, anything like that. Anyway, we're about to move on to a lot of different things this week and different ways to train this type of process where you basically just become as efficient as possible. Before I get to anything else though, I am gonna go shopping for racing shoes and maybe switch out new gloves. I got these Puma gloves. They're awesome, they feel amazing, but they are a little bit tight, so I don't know if I'll have to switch those. And honestly, it's just kind of cool to be going shopping for like racing gear that I'm actually going to use. Like that's exciting to me. We went with, I don't actually know what they're called. I guess it's the Slalom Plus Sparko shoe. It's like a mid-tier shoe, I think. And Puma Podios, they're a little bit small on me, which is kind of what I was worried about, but the guy seemed pretty set that like the next size up would be too big. So I guess I'm just gonna have to like put in sim sessions and like wear them out or stretch them out because he said that they should stretch. So I wanted to go all Puma stuff, but he didn't really talk about the Puma shoes much. So we just bought these ones because he kind of sold them to us. And I guess I'm a little like socially awkward in those situations and I just like listen to what he said. I want to say one more time that we do have this shirt on sale. Me and my girlfriend designed it together, kind of calls to themes of our shared past and restaurants. We've got a car inside of a deli cup. It's kind of like the dreams of racing that you have while you're working at a bar, which is what we were doing. Link in the description, go check it out. It is currently November 3rd. I leave for VIR in 10 days. I haven't done any more prep. I've just been editing. I did a couple of GT4 races on Brands Hatch, which was fun, but doesn't really pertain to Virginia all that much. So it's time to really lock in and get some practice done. Mainly on Assetto Corsa, which is what I want to focus on this week, and also using different cars on Assetto Corsa, using a Ginetta, using the BMW M235i, which is very similar to the car that I actually will be driving in Virginia, right here, the M240i. So I think that there's some good opportunity there to learn. We're gonna go knock out our first 4-mile run right now, and then I'm gonna progress it up and up as the week goes on. Hopefully I'm doing 6 before I leave to Virginia, and crazy stuff. Skipping ahead through time, It's 8:06 now, so it's been quite some time. I drove actually a decent amount of AC. I did Laguna Seca in the M235i, which is basically, it's pretty close to the car that I will be driving at VIR, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. The tire model on there feels really good, or at least it does in the M235 on Laguna Seca. I haven't driven any VIR yet or PATRIOT course, so I'll let you know how that goes tomorrow. 9 days until I leave for VIR, and I still haven't really done much driving on AC, so that's what we're doing today. And it's gonna be goofy, but I want to wear this stuff because I want to break it in. I want to know how it feels to drive in these and be comfortable in that kind of space, because if my first time ever driving with shoes and gloves on is at VIR, I feel like I'm just kind of putting myself back a little bit. Like, that's something that I could prep for here, so why not do it? And also try and actually break this stuff in because it's totally new. So if it's like really stiff, that might not be the best. So Ginetta, AC, let's go. Pretty sure I've mentioned it, but the reason that I'm using the Ginetta right now and not the M235 is because I want to experience the track in a different car, feel the weight transfer and feel like the compression of the corners with a different chassis and different suspension than what I will be driving. And maybe there is something I can take from that experience and apply it to the BMW later that will help me get up to pace or find pace. I'm a couple laps into driving the Ginetta on VIR full, and one thing I'm noticing more on the shoes and gloves side of things is that the shoes make it very, very easily to brake very heavily. Like, the pedal feels lighter because I guess I don't feel as much like of the actual ridges on the pedal, so I can press harder before it like really starts to hurt or anything like that. The gloves do feel a little bit tight. I think it's gonna take some time to stretch them out, and I'm happy that I'm starting that process right now. On the car side of things, the Ginetta feels like it has way too much grip here, like way too much grip. It's really fast. I think 51s and 52s is probably like the lap times you're aiming for, 151s and 52s. I am currently in the 55s, so I'm pretty far off, I think. I'm not quite sure, but the car just feels like it has so much grip. And pretty much as soon as I hopped out of the car, I was watching this replay and noticed that I feel like I'm just way over slowing the car for entry, and the rear end isn't braking loose enough. We're coming up to NASCAR bend right here, and this was really the only place I felt the rear kind of step out a lot. I'm gonna try and break into the 52s or 53s at least over the next couple of laps by really pushing, not spinning the car obviously, but pushing on my my entry speed mainly and my mid-corner speed. I have to say that Assetto Corsa was really strange for me initially. Like, I love the feel of it. I actually really do enjoy it. I think it's more fun in a way than iRacing, but it's very different the way that I think you go fast. And I was driving with so many iRacing habits. If you watch my braking here, very slowly build up to my peak pressure. And I mean, I guess it kind of works here. It's hard to tell, because also, like, looking back on this now, I feel like I could have gotten on throttle a lot earlier, opened up that previous corner a lot more, as well as I could have opened that one up more. I'm trying to give myself some grace because I'm watching this from the future, and man, if I were to hop back in this combo right now, I feel like I would be driving it faster, but would I really? I don't know. I actually hook up the S's pretty decently there, using a lot of the curbing. And this Ginetta, by the way, very interesting car. Was nothing like I was expecting it to be. It was much more twitchy. Like, it would snap left and right in corners a lot quicker than I was assuming that it would. I thought it would have a bit softer suspension, but it was actually very stiff. Into Oak Tree, braking probably a bit too hard, a bit too early. I kind of like don't go as deep as I really needed to there, which kind of forces me into a bit of an early apex. And I think that was a problem that I was having a lot on this track, is especially in the Ginetta, I would brake a bit too much initially and then have to get on throttle early because I would overslow the car. Into roller coaster for the first time, braking a little bit earlier than I really would have liked, because I had gone deep here a couple of times this session, but I meet that apex very nicely and towards hogpin, keeping it flat all of the way through. I think I shift down to third gear here, but I should have stayed in fourth. I also completely missed the that first apex of hogpin, but overall I think the speed was decent through there. There was just honestly probably too much grip in this session. Coming up to the line, and we're going to cross this one for a 153.391, but that still didn't feel like as quickly as I could go. There was a lot of corners that I just wasn't close enough to the edge, like I wasn't fighting the car at all, so I tried braking later in a lot of places. First corner, tried braking a bit later. It actually served me up for a really good late apex here, but I just kind of got a little bit too much steering angle through there and a bit of oversteer. Up the S's on this lap and trying to keep more throttle, just barely lifting at the top of the S's, shifting down and getting back to full throttle instantly in 5th gear. This time I want the car to go a bit deeper so I can cut back for a later apex, and I think I actually got that done pretty well. That actually looks pretty solid. The car is still jolting back and forth quite a bit, but I think that's kind of just more realistic than in iRacing, where the car seems to just be smooth all of the way through. Felt super good about that that run through roller coaster as well. And into hog pin, still shifting down to 3rd. I hadn't really played with 4th yet. I wish I had, because this lap would have been, I think, a bit faster had I stayed in 4th. Crossing the line though for 52.9, super solid. I was really happy with that. I didn't know what I was really aiming for though. Definitely starting to get to grips with the car. It took me about 10 laps to really start to push it and realize what pushing it felt like. I think like the shoes, the racing shoes, which I actually still have on my feet. The racing shoes feel really good. It feels almost just like socks, but the gloves feel a bit different. I think I was like, I couldn't quite feel all of the little motions in the force feedback as much, so I was being a little bit more cautious on the steering. But once I got used to it and really started pushing the steering, also this car kind of hides like the, I don't know, the limit. It hides the limit a little bit. Like you really have to force this car to get to the limit. But I did find it. I think I feel pretty good about that pace. I'm going to wait about an hour, do another session, see if I found any pace there. So I've been texting Kaizen to get lap times in real life for some of the cars that I'm going to be driving. And he said that the Ginetta GTA, which is a slightly less powerful version of the car, well, I say slightly, I think it's actually like 80 horsepower, which is a lot. But it runs a 156 in slicks at VIR, and then the M240IR, which is the BMW, and I'll be driving a comparable car to that soon on Assetto as well, runs a 202 flat, or a 202 on slicks on VIR full. So 156 for the Ginetta and 202 for the M240IR. Right now I'm doing 153s, high 152s in the Ginetta, but it is a GT4 version, so it's a lot faster. It has more power. That sounds about right. Like 3 seconds, 4 seconds faster. I think there's still more in it, and I want to consistently run those times and learn a little bit more about the Ginetta before I start working on the BMW. So I'm going to do that right now. Second session of AC Ginetta. Let's go. Now, I just wanted to push the car a bit harder. I watched my previous laps from the last session and saw that I wasn't using as much of the track, so I really had an emphasis on trying to do that, using a lot more of that that inside apex there and getting to throttle as quickly as I could. I don't think I slid out so much there that I actually lost speed. Could have hustled it more to the right to open up NASCAR bend, but still honestly felt good, and this actually looks pretty good. Like this is a lap that I'm actually fairly proud of. I'm not sure how much faster I could have. I mean, I definitely could have opened that up more. My God, the entrance to the S's there was pretty abysmal. I probably had my speed a bit lower than it needed to be, since I was able to keep it so narrow and stay on track. Through South Bend, down to 5th gear, got onto throttle slightly more progressively this time than last time, and it ended up having me use a bit more of the track, which was good. Oak Tree kind of fell back into the trap of over braking initially, so I didn't go as deep, so my exit out of Oak Tree was probably not as great as it could have been. Roller Coaster, braking just ever so slightly later, and that does actually lead to me going slightly deep at the top of Roller Coaster, but I think I still netted positively there because I just carried more speed. I open up the final corner a bit more over that entry apex, which I think does, I mean, it makes the whole corner a lot easier, and that actually leads me to not using all of the track. I think I was just overslowing. Ultimately, it was a slower lap, I think largely to do with Oak Tree, but other than that, I did feel pretty good about this lap as a whole. Yep, Second session, I feel pretty good about that one. I didn't find like a ton of lap time overall. I didn't hook up a super good lap, but I definitely found a lot of time in different sectors through the S's after NASCAR bend, a ton of time through there for me. Probably found like at least a 1/10.5, 2/10. And then through the final corner as well, I ended up finding some time there by cutting that entry curb on the left side a little bit, which I don't know if that's something you would do in real life, but it definitely helps in the sim. Now, I do want to touch on the fact that I didn't actually put in a faster lap. I was consistently in the 53s, like low 53s, just barely almost into the 52s. I could have been a couple times if I didn't make some mistakes, but that's okay, because what that means to me is not that, oh, I'm driving so slow right now, which I kind of am, but more what it means to me is that I was actually pretty quick in my last session, which was only 14 laps, I think, total. And to be able to get that close to the pace that I feel like I'll probably end up around, which is, I want to say mid 52s is like the best I'm probably going to put in this car. To get that close, only like 4/10ths off right away, I'm pretty happy with. I think the next step is actually finding that pace, like finding that mid 52 or that whatever the pace is in the first 15 laps with a new car, a new track combo, something like that. That's my goal, is to get to that. We just got out of our third session. It's 7:30 at night, and this one was very, very different from the other two, mostly because I changed the track state to old, which is like a setting on Assetto Corsa that gives you less grip everywhere, which is probably more accurate to the track and bit of a different experience for sure. Some lines didn't work. Taking a look at the first few laps for turn 1, I took the line through turn 1 that I was taking earlier, where I would use a lot of this curbing on the right side. And just to show you like where I am on the track, we'll go into this view. Using a lot of this curbing, which is what I was doing earlier, I'm pretty sure, but the car just, it felt like I had to over slow it when using that curbing to avoid massive oversteer on exit. You can't really see it too much here. Oh, I mean, you can see a little bit. The angle just wasn't great either. Like, I'm exiting way too early because of this line, and the car didn't grip. It didn't get enough immediate rotation off of that curb like it did earlier. So I had to work harder to rotate the car later on in the corner and ended up oversteering. Penultimate lap of the session, you'll see that I'm completely avoiding that. I actually totally missed it here, more than I wanted to. But we'll go to the last lap of the session where I pretty much nailed that corner, I think. There's definitely time in other places on the track, but we'll let the whole lap play, and I'm gonna like talk you guys through this one as we go through. Starting the lap, that was a 55.7, which is 2 seconds slower than I was doing earlier, 2.5, braking at 3, and avoiding this curb, that big curb. But honestly, I think that was perfect. Like, that felt very good to me. It was really hard to hustle the car back to the right. Eventually I did enough, and then for NASCAR bend, I was taking a bit of a later apex here. Same thing, didn't want to touch that inside curb. It kind of did the same thing as the first turn did to me. But these curbs... My camera froze and I had to restart the recording, but don't let that distract you from the fact that I'm about to totally cut a corner on the track. And then I completely cut that corner, just all of the way across, but that's okay. We move on, and I don't think I really gained much time from that, probably like a 10th. So this lap probably wasn't much better than my last one in terms of time. But apart from that corner, everything else on this lap felt really hooked up and really solid. Staying super tight in that last bit of the uphill S's, getting on throttle early here and not going into the dirt. Preparing for Oak Tree, braking earlier than I was from the sessions from earlier today. Tons of rotation through Oak Tree, and that felt super good. Using a little bit of the dirt, I see people do that in real life all the time, so that's the only reason I wasn't like worried about, oh no, I'm taking the dirt, like I wouldn't do that. I've seen a lot of people take that dirt. Very long straight here. I'm just gonna skip to the end of the straight. Coming up to the end of the straight, braking in between these two, which is a bit earlier than I was in the first couple of sessions, and wrestling with the car at the top of the hill, just really completely cranking the tires, sliding all of the way out of there. Probably not optimal, but it felt okay in the moment. Slamming on the throttle with a ton of compression there, cutting the inside curb, touching the outside curb. I feel like I maximized that exit fairly well. Probably could have rolled more speed into that corner, but it's okay. We got through and we crossed the line for a 155.529. Probably realistically should have been like a 155.6 or 0.65 due to me cutting that corner, but yeah, this was a strange session. Definitely felt way different with the old track, like way less grip, but maybe this is how, this might be more accurate to the track though. I think I've been pretty good this week so far about not being like so amazed in wonderment at what's happening, and take it more as, you know, to some extent, like I earned this, and kind of taking that view of like, let's say I'm a successful driver 10 years down the line, or successful in the motorsports industry 10 years down the line, and it kind of kills my wonder right now. Like I'm not having that like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening as much, but more so just focused on getting the work done, which is important in terms of getting work done. Like you need to be working at it. And I think part of that for me is like how I get myself going in the day. I think a lot of people, we find ourselves in the morning like looking at social media for an extended period of time. I at least find myself doing that on more days than I would like to admit. And something that's helped me with that recently is basically the first thing I'm doing when I'm waking up is watching like podcasts or car reviews, which this is something I'm pretty sure I've mentioned multiple times in the past, but it is, I cannot overstate how much it helps me. Like if I'm going on a run, or if I'm doing a walk in the morning, or whatever I'm doing, put a headphone in, today I listened to Carlos Sainz's High Performance podcast. I'll put a picture of it right here. And if you haven't heard this or any of the podcasts from that channel, you should definitely go check them out, because it just helps you get into the right mindset and like remind you what's important in reaching your goals. So it kind of just kickstarts you off really, really well. Now, on the subject of driving, we did quite a few laps yesterday on Assetto Corsa in the Ginetta. I'm gonna do another session right now just to see if like overnight any of that work that I put in yesterday has seeped in and I'm able to consistently do better laps or find better time in any of the corners, just overall see if I have improved or maintained, or what the situation is there. So I just finished my third session, and I don't know if I just don't have it today or what's going on, but yesterday with these same conditions, my third session from yesterday, I believe I did a 55.7 at the end, and I was thinking, oh, I should go way faster than that today. I've slept. I should be faster, but my fastest lap, I mean, it was a 55.59, which isn't that much of an improvement. And I thought like as I drove, I would get faster today. So I did this today. I did all the way up to 26 laps, which is 2 stints. So coming out of the pits twice, all of the way to empty fuel. And I still just could not find all the time that I needed. I'm just gonna walk you guys over like part of my lap, because none of the laps of the session were amazing. But this was my best lap in terms of the way that I got the car around turn 1. There was very, very little, like major moments here. However, something I'm noticing with this car, and I thought it would kind of stick more today, is that the car, it looks from this angle, it looks like I'm keeping it on the limit there. Like it looks like I'm keeping the slip angle. But if you go into my car, I was really having to battle, and you'll be able to see better from this angle, the front end. As I go around this corner, it kind of jolts back and forth slightly until I finally find the rotation. To some degree, I think that's a characteristic of this car. Like instead of getting the weight on one side and having a smooth rotation, which almost no cars do in real life, it's more of like a back and forth of like the front end and the rear end as you're managing understeer, oversteer, and trying to keep just that little bit more oversteer throughout the corner to help give you angle. But this car, it's really aggressive. Like it feels like when that oversteer comes, it comes way too much and you immediately have to battle it. And it's very hard to stay within that window where you're like teetering just a little bit on the two, and it feels more like you're kind of doing this, or I'm doing that. I am struggling to get a hold of this car. Definitely 54s are possible with these conditions. I don't think 53s are happening though. But I still didn't really hook up a lap I was proud of, which is really what's killing me, because there was not a lap here where I hooked up like every sector within like 95% of my ability. I don't really count calories anymore. That is something I did for a long time, but once I kind of got myself fit it was about 4 years ago, I think, yeah, or even 5 or 6 during COVID. Crazy how long it's been. I kind of got, I think I eat about 1,800 calories a day, and I weigh around 150, 145 pounds at 5'8" as a male, and I think that's generally pretty healthy amount of calories for maintaining. I'm not really trying to gain weight, not really trying to lose it right now either. Look at my cat. I'm gonna get another video of you two. Another day in the garage. First of all, my shirt is super wrinkly. I'm sorry. I want to talk about a couple of things. I had a conversation with William last night. Keep in mind, this is a 17-year-old kid who's very fast and has driven Miatas in real life. He has an Instagram page. Go follow it. He's dope. I was having a conversation with him about the mental side of driving, and there was so much to unpack. Will brought up the point that there's kind of a ceiling to what you can play with and what you can understand until you get into a real car, and then you can bring what you have learned in the real car back to the sim, and it just opens up a whole new world of being able to play with the car and understand the car. And to piggyback off of that, after he had driven the Miatas in real life, he can hop into the sim and prepare for real life better because he knows the differences now between real life and the sim, and he can take those into account when driving on the sim. He knows what parts of the sim to actually focus on, like what will transfer into real life. It really opened my eyes to what I am going to be getting out of this school, on top of all of the things that I'm sure the coaches and everybody else there is going, like, there's just so much to learn. Sprint qualifying was sick, and it is time to hop in to the BMW M235i on VIR. Gonna start with the full course and then move to the Patriot later today. But I want to drive. I just finished F1 sprint quali, and it was really motivating. It's always good to watch racing in the morning, I think, to get you up and ready. I'm gonna do a quick session of this, go for a run, and then we move to the Patriot course. So, BMW M235i. This technically, it doesn't have as much downforce as the M240i-R, which I will be driving at VIR, but other than that, the car is fairly close. Braking really hard and shifting down to second while totally missing that apex. I think that keeping it in third might actually be the move through there. Watching it back now, I feel like I was just way over slowing it there, as I tend to do for quite a few corners. NASCAR actually felt really good. Probably could have opened up my steering a bit earlier, but I liked the way that the car rotated through there. Same thing through the S's, felt really solid through here. Just continued to turn itself once I got the weight on the left tires there, all of the way through that right-hander. And heading towards the S's, this car was a bit different than the Ginetta through the S's. You really had to hustle it at the top of the hill, which you'll see in just a minute as you head towards South Bend. So through these S's, I'd have to lift a lot more in this car than I did in the Ginetta to try and keep it on the right side, shifting down to fourth. Another place where I think a gear higher might have been the move there. Keeping in fifth probably would have been better through there. Now, being pretty careful through Oak Tree, didn't open up the corner as much as I could and had to kind of get on throttle a bit earlier. But these are mistakes that typically, like, if I were driving an iRacing, you know, I would flesh these out to a T. But with only doing 14-15 laps, I wasn't really pushing fully to the limit at any point, I think, because I wanted to stay underneath it so I didn't wreck the car, because that was a big part of what I'm prepping for here, is not wrecking the car. Through roller coaster, again, down to second gear, probably a gear lower than I should have been. I kind of forced myself into way too much rotation by shifting down. Had I stayed in third, the car probably would have been much more planted. And then again through here, shifting down into third when I probably should have stayed in fourth. These are things that I have worked out now, but the voice you're hearing is me from almost a week after doing this session. So, you know, more knowledge. Hindsight is 2020, and crossing the line for a 202.6, which felt fairly realistic. Okay, I just hopped out of my first session in the BMW M235, and it feels really good. I think I just enjoy softer suspension overall. We got down to a 2:02.6, I think, which was our fastest lap, which was like 0.4 quicker than our second fastest lap. So there's a lot to be learned in terms of consistency, but I think I like the way that this car handles, and I hope that it feels as the real car would. It's just getting me really excited for the actual thing. Speaking of, I just got my first email talking about, it's like checking in for the school. So I'm gonna read through that, and like, shit is getting real right now. Pretty crazy. We have 6 days until we leave to VIR. I would go so far as to say that I am extremely comfortable with what flags mean what, but you have to score a 100% on this flag test on day 1 of the school, otherwise you can't drive. And it's just better safe than sorry. Like to not pass would be probably the worst thing that you could do at a racing school, I think, is like not pass the flag test. So I'm gonna give it a couple of reads over, probably once or twice a day. So next session, this was a bit later on in the day, and you'll see me try and fix some of those problems from the first session. This is only the 5th lap, so I haven't been driving for that long in this session. Braking at the same place, but really hustling the car in towards the apex here. So I have a slightly later apex, and I'm staying tighter on that right side, so it's easier to get the car over here. Hopefully just traveling less distance. Still probably overslowing the car, but that's okay. Opening up NASCAR quite a bit more and using more of the exit as well. Into the S's, this was one of the weak points of this lap. Just completely whiffed that first apex, and it kind of threw me off all of the way until the exit. Eventually we get it sorted, but there was definitely a bit of time to be gained by not turning so much and so late for that first apex of the S's, or the flat S's, I suppose. The first round of S's, I don't know what they're called, because we're going through the second round of S's right now, and I'm a bit more aggressive with my steering, really throwing the car to the right there, and it seemed to work a lot better right before Hogpin. Shifting down to 4th still, and you can see that I was immediately redlining 4th, so that was when I realized that 5th is probably going to be the move through there. Oak Tree, a much later apex, really letting the car drive in quite a bit deeper, so I get a much better exit down the back straight and heading towards Roller Coaster. I wanted to try 3rd gear because 2nd gear gave me too much rotation on that last lap, but I just don't slow the car down enough or pitch it in early enough, so I'm super late on the first apex, and it throws me to an extremely wide exit. Have to completely lift off of the throttle. Lost a ton of time there through Hogpin, still using 3rd gear through here, which I don't think it hurts you that much, but I do think that 4th is faster. And it was still a faster lap, but there was a lot of time lost, especially in Roller Coaster this lap. The difference between running 5 miles at an 8 mile per minute pace and 1 mile at a 5 minute 45 second pace is crazy. Absurd. I need to start doing that more. The amount of breathing, like how quickly my breaths were so different. But nonetheless, I actually got it done, and I still feel pretty good. I still have a good amount of energy, so I think that's a good sign. That probably comes from the amount of endurance running that I have been putting in. Now, I want to create a shift in my perspective over the next 7 days and kind of stop, like really force myself, because I always tell myself I'm going to stop focusing on lap time. I'm not going to worry so much about lap time. I want to focus about the technique, blah, 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 blah. I'm really going to try to enforce that right now and let the way that I am naturally driving right now kind of take over and just see where that goes for the next 3 or 4 days, and understand that no matter how much change in my driving I try and make, or what adjustments I try and make, when I get to VIR, there are going to be coaches there that will tell me to do something different, like things that I picked up specifically from iracing, such as braking in a bell curve, where I kind of build up my brake pressure to peak pressure and then bleed off very slowly. I think that has some relevance in real life, but I have also seen Will do much faster times on AC than me by just slamming the brake from 0 to 100 instantaneously. I'm not sure. I don't want to worry about it too much. I'm just going to accept that is a habit that I built up over iracing and ride it out. Enough of that. It's time to get back into the sim, and I'm finally going to jump from the full course on VIR to the PATRIOT course in the BMW, and I think this will probably be as close of an experience as I can have to driving this before the school. So I'm really excited and kind of nervous about how this is going to go. At this point, I want to say that this track feels like home. Like, it felt like I was returning to home because I had driven so much of it in the GT4 on iRacing, and this scan was fairly similar. The M235 that I'm in is pretty different from the GT4s, though not nearly as much top end and not as much downforce as I just go flying off of the first corner. This is my first lap ever on AC around here that you're watching, so that's why I'm going so painfully slow and missing so many apexes. I was really just trying to figure out how similar the scan was to iRacing, and it felt pretty similar. These cones you're seeing won't be there for very long, as I'm going to skip ahead quite deep into the session now. It's a very short lap, about 40 something seconds. This is lap number 20, so we're about to go on to 21, and this was my fastest lap of this session. So 21 laps seems like a lot, but it's a really small track, so they go by very fast. Trying to maintain as much throttle as possible, cutting the grass on the right side to open up this left-hand hairpin that leads immediately into S's, short shifting into third to try and avoid sliding out there, as you're throwing the weight around so much. If you're high in the revs, like it's very easy to slide out. Really crazy corner here, over a crest, get the tire in the dirt on the left and then on the right side, kind of hook it on that curbing and aim for a slightly late apex, I believe here, because you lead to one of, I don't even know if you can call this a straight. It's like so small, but on the scale of this track, it is a straight. And then abusing the grass through here pretty badly. I think you kind of have to do that. I don't know how realistic that is though. Crossing for a 47.7. Don't know how good of a lap that really is, but I kind of used it as a baseline for my next session. My faith in sim racing has been restored. I drove the BMW at the PATRIOT course, and oh my god, dude, I love that car. I think the PATRIOT course and the amount of time that I put into it last week is making a huge difference, because it felt pretty natural to me to drive that car around there, and everything felt very predictable, how I expected it to. Very different from my experience with the Ginetta and VIR Full. I just could not get to grips with that, and that is probably a bad thing. Like, that's probably a red flag that I didn't adapt and find a way to hook that car up for myself. So that's something I need to be aware of moving forward. But like I said earlier, we don't have a lot of time. I'm not too worried about trying to fix every single problem before going to racing school at VIR, because it's racing school. I'm going to learn and to get better and to get comfortable. And I hope that I display everything that I learn in a way that you guys can see and maybe learn something yourselves, because who knows, maybe in the future, like, you guys can end up going to Kaizen and going to the racing school, and this opportunity could open people's eyes to the amount of knowledge and experience there is to gain by doing something like this. So yeah, I'm feeling really good right now. The PATRIOT course was so much fun, dude. I love that BMW. The session you were about to witness was done alongside Will, so we were in our own private sessions, but driving at the same time. And I think having some type of competition always kind of helps to push you a little bit harder, and I think that helped me to push the car in a slightly more aggressive manner, which in AC does oftentimes yield to a faster lap time. So we'll walk you through this one. This is actually on worse track conditions as well, but I'm using more throttle through that first corner and into the S's. I think just, you know, naturally after doing more sessions on here, this is my second session, and I was much more comfortable with the weight transfer of this car and how the suspension handled that weight. Now making our way to the blind left-hander, trying to stay as far to the right to open up this corner as much as possible, managing throttle all of the way through, well, actually lifting for a bit, but my whole goal was to keep the minimum speed high through that hairpin that I just went through, and I think I did a pretty good job of doing that as I head towards the final bit of S's, and I abuse specifically that corner. The rest of them wasn't so bad. A bit of brake and straight back onto throttle, sliding sideways across the line for a 46.9, which was considerably faster than my last session. This is my fourth shirt of the day. I swear it's the same day. I'm just changing shirts a lot because I keep doing things and getting really sweaty and then changing them. It is 10:25 p.m. and me and Will did a session in the BMW M235 around the PATRIOT course. This is far and away the most important combo to me right now, and it felt really good to have somebody else there to bounce off of and kind of look at his laps as I was doing mine, and hopefully vice versa. I don't really think there's anything really to learn from my laps, but we ended up settling around like low 47s, I think is like what would be pace if you were to race around there. Maybe the occasional high 46, but you really have to abuse the track in order to like consistently run 46s. I think you'd have to abuse the track quite a lot, but feeling very, very, very good about that combo and about that car in general. I really like the way that the BMW handles an Assetto Corsa. I don't know how close the M235i in Assetto is to the M240 IR that I will be driving at VIR, but it feels pretty realistic to me. So does iRacing, but I mean, you know, some people say that it's not, so who knows. Tomorrow I'm going to do my 6-mile run for the first time, and then I'm gonna try and keep that up all of the way until VIR. I don't know if there's really that much else to touch on. Out of a Laguna session on the BMW M2, absolute joy, absolute pleasure. Best time of my life. I could drive that forever, for every day, for the rest of my life and never get bored. And I think that that is pretty important, that I kind of remember the fun of driving, because I think I drive better when I'm enjoying it, as probably most people do. I'm pretty sweaty. This is just from the sim. This is literally just from the sim. Time to go on a run. Yeah, I don't think there's really much more I can do on the sim, to be honest. We're gonna send it. Now I'm gonna go run 6 miles. I didn't finish my 6 miles. I couldn't do it. I had to keep my peace. There was a guy, like, must have been, I don't know, probably 60 years old, on his phone screaming the entire time. I moved down 2 treadmills to try and get away from him, and he moved down 1 to get closer to me, and I just left. I did 3 miles, and believe it or not, in the middle of my workout that followed that, there was somebody playing like pool or like rain bet or something on full volume right next to me. So I'm just fucking calling it. I forgot my headphones, and I just don't want to deal with that. So I'm gonna go drive some more. I want to fucking drive, dude. Like, I just want to drive. I figured that since my workout got cut short at the gym, I'll show you what I do pretty much every single day that does not require a gym. And I usually do this regardless of if I'm going to run or if I'm going to work out at the gym. This is like a little thing that I just try and do every day to maintain myself. These are my favorite just because I couldn't do them for so long. Like growing up, I could never do pull-ups. It took me over a year to do my first one from when I started trying. So these are something I always want to maintain, and it's like a full body exercise. If you want to do like extra ab stuff, planks are really good, but something that I really enjoy are hanging L-sits. Oh shit. Basically just put your legs straight out, tighten your core. I mentioned that I did a Laguna session before the gym, and I had to do another one. This is honestly good for my mental health. I believe that whoever designed Laguna Seca did it purely with the goal that they wanted to make a track that anybody could drive and have a good time on. I feel like you could bring almost any car here. Like, you can bring a super fast car here, you can bring a really slow car here and have the time of your life on either of them. The corners have just the right amount of camber, different angles, and just different corners overall. The elevation is different. There's a lot of different types of corners here, but everything feels slightly standard. Like, I feel like this is a good place to learn a car. I mean, I'm basically just like dick sucking whoever designed this thing, but I'm okay with that because, you know what? Where are they at, bro? Where are they? Let me, you know, some of that on them. Also, I know I said like any car feels good around here, but this car specifically it feels like it's made for this. Like, the way that this car loads up on one side and it keeps the weight there, even like through that corner, you could feel that the tires were kind of, you know, they were sliding, you could hear them, but it keeps that weight. It doesn't like snap back to the right or throw itself, like it doesn't throw itself into understeer. It's just, gosh, I don't know exactly how to explain it. I really hope that the car in real life feels anything like this one, because driving this car has been one of the greatest experiences of my life, completely cutting the track limits down the corkscrew. This corner is always so weird to me. You can I think you just generally benefit from a earlier apex there, just purely, I guess it's distance, speed, I'm not quite sure. Into the final corner, one of the greatest corners of all time. It's like it's such a normal corner. It's just like a 90-degree left-hander, but there's just enough runoff that you extend it more and it makes it more fun, or I guess it makes it faster, which makes it more fun. Time didn't matter. This was just to put me in a good headspace, and honestly, I think it worked. Only 2 days left. I'm gonna go over, this will probably be the last day of me filming for this video. I'm just gonna drive as many things as I can on AC, on the Patriot and on VIR. I'm talking 30, 45 minute sessions just to get to grips with adapting quickly, just really for fun, because I've touched on it. I'm not doing anything that's gonna change my driving behaviors at this point. We're just rolling with what we got. I did take the flag test multiple times this morning because I well and truly cannot afford to not score a 100 on that. You have to score a 100. Oh man, and then it's time to pack up and go. I think 2 more days. As I am recording this voiceover, I'm packing up my things and getting ready to go. At the beginning of this week, I was expecting that I would come out of it feeling 100% confident in my ability. Instead, this week kind of took the route of totally humbling me and realizing that there are so many things I'm doing wrong that I didn't even notice I was doing wrong in the moment, which just makes me more excited for this school. They will instill things in me and I will experience things that truly open my eyes and change the way that I naturally drive. The next time you hear from me, I will be at Kaizen Autosport driving a real car.
I don't know where we're going, always searching for now.